So these are the things that we're going to be doing before class today. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the things that will be better if you do it before we move into class so that we can all be more prepared. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go back into Schoology and you're going to scroll down and look for the Watch the 12 Principles of Animation, because we only went over the first couple of those. And for what we're getting ready to move into, it's really important that you guys have a better grasp of watching what the 12 principles are. So go ahead and click on that. That link is still active, and that'll open up the assignment. And there's the YouTube. I apologize if there's ads on there and all that stuff, but go ahead and watch those and make sure that you kind of have a good understanding of it. If you've already watched them, it would not hurt to watch them again. The whole movie is about 20, well, it says right here, it's about 24 minutes. So, that alone would take you 24 minutes, but you can skip ahead because we've watched the squash and stretch and that stuff. So I'll go ahead and stop this. So the next area that we're going to start working on is creating characters, as I mentioned. And one of the tools that we use in Adobe Animate to move our characters around is a tool called the Bone tool. And the Bone tool can create something called a rig, which is like a skeleton for your character. So when we go to create characters, we're going to keep it very simple at the beginning. But basically, you know how to create an object. You'll draw a shape, and then you would convert that shape into a symbol. And then the Bone tool links different symbols together. So if you can imagine that if you were drawing a character, you would make different symbols. You would make the torso, you would make the left arm, the right arm, the head, and then using the Bone tool, you will link those different symbols together with a skeleton or a rig. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you the tutorial that I want you guys to do before we start working through creating our own characters. And when we're in Adobe Animate, this is the home. We're not going to open anything. We're going to go to Learn. And then when we go to Learn, you're going to see right up here at the top, right between the two pig runs is Hello Kid. So I'm going to double click that. It should take about 8 minutes. If it takes you a little longer, that's totally fine. So we're going to begin. We're going to start the tour. And it's very, very simple. I need to go to previous because it starts to bring a character. I've done this tour already, so it keeps, every time I stop, it wants me to go back to where I stopped. So that's why I have to keep moving back. You shouldn't have that problem. So I'm going to go to get a character, and in the assets, I'm going to go to the default window, static, then I'm going to go to characters, and then I'm going to go to all, and then I'm going to bring in the Hello Kid. So here's my Hello Kid. So basically, if we take a look at this, we'll see that, and don't really pay attention to the rest of this over here because I was doing another tutorial that you're going to be doing too. But if we take a look at this character, it looks like a solid symbol, but if I double click on it, we'll see that it's actually comprised of different symbols. So, and they're at different layers, but they're all on one layer, but I mean at different depths in the composition so that the body is in front of the hips and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a rig. So what we need to do, that while we have double clicked on it, not when it's in the scene, when we're editing it. So we have double clicked on this character. We're going to come over here to static, and we're going to look for rigs. So now we're in assets, default, static, characters, rigs, and I'm going to drag and drop the Hello Kid front onto it. Now this is essentially putting a skeleton into this character. So now it is a skeleton, and all of these circular edit points are areas that we can affect change in. So these are bones, just like a skeleton, and all these points are where we can edit it. So down here, we're in frame 1, and I'm going to make a pose. So I can do that by clicking on these bones, and I can move it down. Now, this is a little squirrely. I'm not going to lie to you, it can be kind of difficult. So it just depends on where you grab it. If you grab it actually on the joint, you can spin around better, like the individual item. If you grab it by the bone itself, it's not going to move the hand, it's going to move the arm down. So it's kind of cool. I mean, have a little fun with it, play around with it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and have this person be trying to put her hand on her hip, but it's kind of weird. And I'm going to move this arm down. So this will be in pose 1. So then I'm going to come over here to frame 7. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a keyframe. And then I'm going to move this arm up to a waving position. I can also move the head a little bit too. And then I'm going to come to frame 15 and I'm going to insert a keyframe. Now I want you to understand that this is a pose and this is a pose. So to make an animation that will loop, we need the very first pose to be identical to the last pose. So just like the running pig. So what I'm going to do is, and we haven't done this before, I'm clicking on frame 1 and I'm going to control click on it or option click, whatever it's control on the Mac and it's probably control on the PC. And I want to copy the pose. So I'm copying the pose, and then in frame 15, I'm going to control click and I want to paste the pose. So now if I play through it, this is what we've got. Arm moves up, arm moves back down. So if I hit loop and play, now when I hit loop, you see it's only going to loop those. I can drag this over just like onion skinning and open it up. And now when I hit play, there's my wave. And if I don't like it, and this is the cool thing, if I don't like the way that it looks, like let's just say I think the arm should have a little more of a bend here in that frame 7 that we created. I can go ahead and pull it down a little bit, put a bend in it right here, and now it works. And of course, you can go through and change, whatever. Let's kick up a leg. I don't know why this would do this while they're waving, and of course she would fall over, but let's see what that looks like. So not good, but it works. And then what you do is, remember, this is only an animation in the symbol itself. So now we're going to go back to the scene, and it'll tell you this in the tutorial. And to make it an animation, we have to we have to give it a duration. Like if I want this to be 1 second, I have to put a keyframe at frame 30. And let's see, layer 1 here. So there we go. And now, I think, let's see. Did I hit the wrong thing? Let's go ahead and test the movie. And there you go. So, and there's a little blank frame at the end. But anyways, just follow through that tutorial. Once you're done with that tutorial, you're going to want to come back to learn, and you're going to want to try at least, now these are pre-programmed. Under the farmer walk cycle, you're going to see that they have pre-programmed skeletons and frames that will animate this character. This isn't really as useful for what we're trying to do, but I want you to just see what is possible to do. So for example, if you look at this farmer walk cycle one, you can go and step through that tutorial, and what it'll do is it'll just kind of give you an idea of how the skeletons and how the rigs can be programmed to have like a walk cycle or a jump cycle and things like that. It's pretty cool. So if you can do those 2 things and then refresh on the principles of animation, that's going to get us ready for what we're going to be doing today so that everybody is on the same page. So let's go ahead and anticipate that. So if we are normally in class at 7:40, if you watch that video for 20 minutes, because you don't need to watch like the first 4 or 5 minutes, that would put you to 8 o'clock. And then I'll give you 30 minutes to do those 2 tutorials and to really play around with them and then get to know them. So let's go ahead and be in class. We'll start our regular class at 8:30 today. So I will see you then. I will put the link up for the class at about 8:20 or so, or maybe 8:25. We're going to plan to be in at about 5:30. So I will see you guys then.